Hello YouTube and welcome. This is a video about flat earth and perspective. Now a few days ago Sliced Arcane published a very good video explaining perspective for flat earthers in a very simple way, and here's a little clip from it.
This is Jerry. His eyes can only see so far upwards and so far downwards. This is called his field of view. When Jerry looks at an object, the imaginary line between his eye and the object is called his line of sight. When Jerry looks across a level plane, anything remaining equal height across the ground, this is called his eye level. This is Jerry's house. On the door, there's a peephole. This peephole is at Jerry's eye level. And if you move the house across the plane to any distance, that peephole will always remain at his eye level. When Jerry looks at his house when it is close, it takes up a large portion of his field of view. That's called the object's angular size. If we move his house away, the house takes up less of his field of view, and its angular size is smaller. But the peephole remains at his eye level. But to Jerry, it looks like his house got bigger and smaller as it got closer and further away.
So that's all nice and clear and easy to understand, unless of course your name is Nathan Oakley. Nathan saw Sly's video and decided he'd make a video trying to debunk what is clear and correct in Sly's video. Here's a clip from Nathan's video.
Sliced Arcane released a video, and as spurious as they all are, it was inside elevation, showing that a house won't change where the peephole is, no matter how far or close the house may be. So let's test that out in perspective using real things and real cameras. And what do you know, we've got this very close setup with a Porsche, a truck and a house, and I want you to pay particularly close attention to the wing mirror, the headlight and the middle brick. So pay close attention to those particular things, because according to Sliced Arcane, it doesn't matter where we slide these things when we're in side profile, they all stay in exactly the same, quote, line of sight. So it won't matter how far apart I spread these things, because the side profile says they're not going to change. So pay attention to these three things and we'll see what happens when we spread out the test. So here is them once more from the side, so you can see just how close they are when we begin. So let's start spreading these things out. So we'll start by moving the house a little bit further away and see what happens there. Oh, that's interesting. Now let's see what happens when we move the truck along. Let's see if we've moved that right close to the house. Oh, that's interesting too. What we've done is move the house a little bit further away. That's kind of interesting. Well, anyway, maybe it's because the car in the foreground's too close, so let's move that a bit.
So first let me give Nathan some credit for actually trying to do an experiment. Well done for that. Sadly, it seems Nathan learned how to design an experiment and perform an experiment by getting advice from Anthony Riley. Who could forget this pathetic attempt at an experiment that Anthony tried to perform? Now, several people explained some of the flaws in Nathan's experiment to him in comments and even made videos. But Nathan has learned well from Riley, so he doubled down, made a new video repeating his experiment along with many of the same faults as before. I can't be certain about all the errors Nathan has made because I can't examine his setup directly, but here's a list of some of the things that it's important to get right in this experiment. The objects should all be the same height or have a marking the same height above the plane. The camera should be level, the center of the camera lens should be at the same height above the plane as the object or marking, and the plane or table should be level. So let's see what result we get when we perform the experiment in a slightly better way than Nathan did. So this is the setup that I've used to try to repeat what Nathan has tried to do, but to demonstrate the point that Sly was trying to make. So I've taken some care to get the camera level and get the center of the lens of the camera in line with the top of these two foam rubber blocks located on the table. And the table's about 1.5 meters long, and I've taken some trouble to make sure that the table is as level as I could get it. It's not perfectly level, but as level as I could manage to get it, and very, very close to being level. It's very difficult to be absolutely precise with this sort of thing when you're doing it in a domestic setting. Anyway, this is the view from the camera itself, and you can see that half of the screen is taken up with the rubber block and the other half is showing the wall behind. So clearly we've got the camera in pretty good position for doing this test. And I'm placing my finger on top of each of the blocks here just to indicate where they are. And you obviously can't see the second block because it's directly behind the first block and they're right next to the camera. Moving the second block further away, 20 or 30 centimeters further away, and indicating again with my finger here, just to show that it's further away. And now I'm going to slide the block that's in front away a bit to the left so that we can see the block that's further from the camera. And you'll see that the height of those two blocks is the same. Excuse the jumpy editing, but I didn't want to put in all the footage and make this video very long. Now sliding the block away, we see that it remains at the same height. The top of the block remains at the same height as the block near the camera. And just showing that again, sliding it away, and it remains at the same height as the block near the camera, exactly as Sly Sparkane explained should happen in his video. So the question we've got to ask is, why is Nathan Oakley getting a different result? And firstly, do we trust my result? Well, I trust it because I performed it and I took some care, as much as I could take in the time available, to get all the bits in the correct place. A level table, a level surface, two objects that were the same height, and a camera that was leveled and positioned properly to record the observation. I'm not sure that Nathan has done the same things, and he certainly hasn't provided any documentation to indicate that he has done the same things, and he gets a very different result, and it appears from observing his video that he has not taken the necessary steps to get a precise result. Now, the next question to ask is, why not? And there are two possible explanations for that. Either Nathan is a complete incompetent. He clearly, if that's the case, he clearly doesn't understand perspective at all, and he is unable to design a test to examine whether the claims made in Sly's video are correct or not. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that Nathan knows exactly what he is doing here. He is publishing a very poor, a flawed test, showing a result that appears to completely contradict what Sly has said, presumably in the hope of provoking some kind of increased traffic through his site and increased interest in his debating, his debates and his channel. Now, I'm not accusing Nathan of doing that deliberately, but it does strike me that somebody who has the wherewithal to set up and run a channel in the way he does, the intellectual capacity to do that, and is clearly relatively, seems a relatively intelligent person. He doesn't have difficulty in stringing a sentence together, although some of his sentences are pretty awful. It strikes me that it's most likely that he is being intentionally deceptive. And as such, I find his whole approach to flat Earth to be utterly dishonest. He does not appear to have the remotest interest in what is truthful or what is factual or what can be rigorously demonstrated. All he is interested in is exploiting flat Earth and the people who've fallen for Dubay and other people's nonsense. All he's interested in is exploiting them and that situation and trying to drag well-meaning, intelligent people who do understand a bit about reality and realize the way things really work, trying to drag them into his debates to make himself a little bit more money and notoriety or whatever else. So, Nathan, which is it? Are you stupid or are you deceptive? I'd love to know. And maybe you'll reply to this in some way to let me know which of those is the case. Thanks for watching, everybody, and more content later on.